shots, the Lions had the most efficient offense in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. Let's get to a developing story now. Chargers running back Najee Harris was injured in a fireworks accident. His agent, Doug Hendrickson, released this statement saying, quote, Najee Harris was present at a 4th of July event where a fireworks mishap resulted in injuries to several attendees. Najee sustained a superficial eye injury during the incident, but is fully expected to be ready for the upcoming NFL season. Of course, Chargers training camp starts next week. We'll bring you the latest on. Oh, we're back on NFL.
Hard to argue with a guy at over 100 catches, and I think it'd probably be easy to say he's the best route runner at the position in the entire league. And with such a emphasis on it being a passing league and the matchup problems tight ends create, look, it's hard for me to say they got it wrong. Now, I would just say for me, if it were my list, because of just the way that George Kittle still can do it all, it would be hard for me to remove him from the top of that list, just because of how just tenacious he still is as a blocker. Listen, Brock Bowers is awesome. I'll take him on my team any day of the week. But what Kittle does in the passing game, and then how he matches that with how physical he is in the run game, I would still have him at my top spot.
I mean, listen, Tim brings up a good point, but I'm sorry, who was Brock Bowers' quarterback? Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew? I mean, and teams would go into the game knowing, okay, we got to eliminate Brock Bowers. And they still couldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he's in rarefied air as far as a rookie coming in and being so dominant, especially in the passing game. Listen, I have no problems with him being number one. I'll tell you, a guy like Trey McBride.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people talk about Trey McBride, obviously playing with the Arizona Cardinals. Trey McBride is really, really good. I mean, listen, I think their offense is really going to take another step, but Trey McBride, to me, is one of the best tight ends in the game. I would inch him up a little bit closer in the top 2 or 3, in my opinion.
He was the highest paid tight end for a few weeks there.
What a run.
Yeah.
What a run. I agree with Tim almost entirely. The best pass catcher on this list is Brock Bowers. George Kittle, his all-around game is incredible. There's that hypothetical about if you had 22 of the same player, which player would win in a tournament. I'd take 22 George Kittles. The way he runs and blocks and would presumably tackle on the other side, I would not want to see a team full of George Kittles. He is such an amazing all-around player. With Brock Bowers, what struck me, you mentioned the quarterback thing, also the way they used him last year. He had only 15 red zone targets last year, and only one of those was a touchdown. There's meat on the bone with Brock Bowers. He's incredibly athletic. He's great in open space. We saw that at Georgia. He had one of the coolest throwbacks I've ever seen against Alabama in the national championship game, the game I was lucky enough to be at. I think you were there too.
You were there.
I think the world of Brock Bowers, and with Geno Smith now, it's only going to get better.
It was pretty cool. Being at tight end university in Nashville just a few weeks ago, all of the tight ends, it didn't matter if it was Travis Kelce, George Kittle, some of the guys who have been around way longer than that, they were like, yeah, Brock Bowers, he's the guy.
That guy.
So he's getting a lot of that respect from
Bowers
his
was
own
the most
peers.
famous guy there. Most famous
he really
person.
was.
Nobody cared about Taylor Swift. They said, wow, Bowers.
She was just bowing down. I'm just kidding. She really wasn't. But all right, we got
much more play action, turning this back to the defense. Really good delivering the ball down the field. I can just see a level of confidence, a level of recognition.
Golly, you hear those play calls and it's like, what is going on there? Tim, take us through what all that verbiage means in a play call. Pretty impressive.
Well, I think it's important to realize, Breeze and, talking about you have to memorize it. Look, there's stuff that sticks in your mind. I can think back to Andy Reid, red right slot, A right stop, 322 scat, Y stick line, alert, fullback 40. It's been a long time, but it's still ingrained in my head. But the reality is here's what happens. You memorize it, but you also have to picture it in your head. And the reason it's so, you do it is to tell everybody what to do. So really it takes one really bright guy, Drew Brees, somebody like that, to say, okay, here's the deal. Red right slot, okay, that's the formation. A right stop, that's the motion. So that's talking to those players. 322 scat. Look, that's talking to the offensive line as well as, the guys that could be hot. Y stick, that's the route combination, in this case to the right. Lion, that's the route combination to the guys on the left, the slot that's on the left. And then you say alert, okay, hey, now everyone, I just gave you that play call, but alert, if we don't get the look that we want, like alert, fullback 40, like that's what we're going to run. And so, like, yes, they're long, but when you parse them out, it's like an offensive line. Look, they can have their ears turned off until they hear 322 scat. Okay, I'm good there. And then what? Oh, alert, fullback 40. Okay, now I'm good. Listen, guys like D. Wood can't digest all of that. Like, you know what I mean? Their attention spans only. So you just got to give them little pieces as you go.
Before you were telling that to us, D. Wood was telling us everything.
I was breaking it down. I was breaking it down over here on the set. But listen, Tim is right about that. Like, we let the quarterbacks have to parse all of that. All I'm doing is just peeking in on just the part that concerns me, the protection. Other than that, we leave that for everyone else. But sometimes these coaches, they outsmart themselves because you can condense a lot of this stuff by just using code words that represent what you're trying to do as far as play formation and personnel is concerned.
Wouldn't sound nearly as fun as D. Wright 22 back wide slot kill. All right, Kevin, what are your expectations with Knicks in this offense for another year?
First of all, where's the feature on my Starbucks order? That's just as long as
give
those
it to
things.
us.
I know. Damien was very confused about that one.
Yeah.
Let's start here. Bo Nix from week 8 on last year was one of the best quarterbacks in football relative, especially to the expectations that were placed on him going.
A lot of times the year 2 thing, people are like, oh, the league will adjust to these quarterbacks. And that may be true to some extent, but the Broncos have also gotten better at a few key spots in the meantime. All right, unlike the full of potential Broncos, the Dolphins struggled at the on Mike McDaniel this season to bring this offense back to what it was 2 years ago when it felt like all we could talk about, especially during the regular season, was, man, this Dolphins offense is lightning.
I think the Miami Dolphins situation bears watching this year. I think Mike McDaniel is in trouble if he doesn't have one of his better coaching years. Because when I look at the Miami Dolphins, you know what I see? I see a team, it's like empty calories. They do a lot of eye candy, but ultimately at the end of the day, it means nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. When was the last time the Miami Dolphins won a meaningful game? When was the last time Tua Tagovailoa made plays out of structure outside of the X's and O's? They don't have any of that. They don't play physical. They don't capture the line of scrimmage. And so when I look at this team, I look at a team that 4 of their captains from last year no longer on the roster. So that is a big question mark. They need to get back to playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. Yeah, Mike McDaniel, he draws up the pretty, eye candy type of stuff. But you got to get down to basics in the National Football League, or people start catching up to you and start owning you in that manner.
I think we're being a little hard on them. Look, when McDaniel got there, basically there was a lot of talk of, can Tua even be a starting NFL quarterback? And, a couple years in, he leads the league in passing. They're doing things that the rest of the NFL is copying. And so while a lot of the attention was the stuff in the passing game with some of the motion to get Tyreek moving, look, they also did a pretty good job of the run game. And you think of McDaniel's, history coming from the 49ers, that's really where his expertise is. And so Damien's right in that, look, it can't be all like the flash and excitement of what they can do with the speed on the perimeter in the passing game. They do have to have balance in what they do. And I think that they can with better personnel and deciding to, stay committed to the run. I think they've gotten better. I think the challenge that they have is this. They have a good quarterback. They have a quarterback that's a starting level quarterback. But they play in a division with the league MVP. They play in a conference with quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's, I think, what they're dealing with as much as anything else.
Very few rules in life, but one of them is if Zach Wilson is on your key additions graphic, it's time to be at least a little bit concerned.
Oh, no.
I don't think they've gotten that much better. And I look at this roster, and it needs a DeLorean. It needs a time machine, because 2 years ago in 2023, I really felt that they were up for the challenge in the AFC, that they were closer to the Bills than they are now. And in fact, I would say the Patriots are closer to the Dolphins and the Dolphins are closer to the Bills going into 2025. That's a bad thing. I still believe in a lot of talent on this team. I disagree with Damian Woody about Mike McDaniel. I think he's a really good play caller. I think he can do the basics. I think he can run the ball.
Vikings fans, listen up. If there's one thing Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has made clear since taking over as GM in 2022, it's this. He loves high upside reclamation projects. And now there's a prime target that might be about to hit the market, and the Vikings need to jump on it ASAP. Look, Kwesi is a Wall Street guy. He's always looking for that market inefficiency, that low-risk, high-reward move that gives you an edge most teams miss. We've seen it with guys like TJ Hawkinson. People said he was good, but Kwesi saw top 5 tight end potential. And guess what? Boom. He's one of the best tight ends in the league now. So when we're talking about giving up a 6th or 7th round pick for a guy who's already shown flashes in the league, that's smart business. That's Vikings Moneyball right there. The next potential gem. Juju Brents, cornerback from the Colts. Yeah, you remember him. 3rd round pick in 2023 out of Kansas State. And this guy, he's got freak written all over him. 6'3", 200 pounds, 34-inch arms, longer than Richard Sherman and Brandon Browner. 9.99 relative athletic score. 4th highest ever for a corner since 1989. That's not just rare, that's generational athleticism. Now imagine that kind of length and athleticism in Brian Flores' defense. We're talking about a guy who can jam at the line, close space lightning fast, and straight up bully wideouts with his physicality. He brings something our current DB room just doesn't have, size and length. No disrespect to guys like Mekhi Blackman or a Caleb Evans, but Brents has tools that you simply can't teach. He's like the Ivan Drago of cornerbacks, press man monster, and with Flores running a ton of exotic zones and match coverages, oh man, this is exactly the kind of piece we need, okay? I know what you're thinking. If he's so good, why would the Colts give him up? Simple. Injuries. Quad injury in his rookie year, meniscus and PCL injury last year. Missed 15 games. But that's where our front office confidence kicks in. Kwesi believes in our medical staff. He's not afraid to take these calculated risks on guys who need a second shot. If Brent stays healthy, you could be looking at a legit CB1 for the cost of a late 5th rounder. And here's what a deal could look like. Vikings send a 5th round pick. Colts send back Juju Brents plus a 7th rounder. It's practically a pick swap. You lose almost nothing in draft capital, and you gain a potential game changer at a position of need. You know how hard it is to find elite traits at corner in the 5th round? This is a no-brainer. Brian Flores is the kind of coach who can turn tools into production. We've seen it time and time again with guys like Ivan Pace, Josh Metellus, even Cam Bynum. Give him a physical freak like Brents with that size, length, and explosion. He'll find a way to unlock him. And this could be that sneaky under-the-radar move that ends up being a defining part of our 2025 season. So I gotta ask you guys, should the Vikings pull the trigger and go get Juju Brents? Do you like this kind of high upside swing? Let me know what you think in the comments. I love hearing what this fan base has to say. You guys always bring the real energy. And hey, if you're excited for what Kwesi and Flores are building, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. This could be the next great reclamation story in purple and gold. Let's make it happen. A skull, baby.